kind of thing. So, but I want you to learn, and I want you to be able to take it home and do something with it. So take notes, take videos, all of that is totally fine with me, okay? And just remember, whatever I'm saying right now, you need to have retained in some way, either taking some bullet points, or it's going to be hard to review your video while you're with your friend out here, but you're going to need to go over those things with each other, all right? Okay, so the foundation exercise, I learned this from Jenny Dam. I've done a lot of training with her. She's from Sweden, overseas, a brilliant, brilliant dog trainer. But I went down to train with her. Remember that December EO tryout I was telling you about? January is when I met Jenny Dam and worked with her for 2 days on blind crosses. And this is one of the exercises I learned from her, that after those 2 days, I went home and I cleared every obstacle on my big agility field, and I had one jump, and I worked on this. So, the way this is gonna work, your dog is just simply gonna be wrapping this jump. They're gonna go over the bar, and they're gonna come back in the same direction they came from. Normally, how would we handle that? We would do a front cross, right? We would turn into the dog. They start on my right and turn in, and now they're on my left. For this exercise, we are turning away from our dog, doing a blind cross. So they start out on my right, I turn away, and now they're on my left. Okay? So I have 4 critical kind of bullet points for the details of this exercise. Number 1 is that you need to turn away from your dog. And that sounds really simple until you come out and muscle memory takes over, and what happens to most people is they whip out a spin accidentally, because we work so hard to learn how to do those, and now I'm telling you don't do that. Turn away from your dog. So that's detail number 1, is we're turning away from our dog. Number 2, if I had to say which one's important, most important, probably this detail for you to learn, and that is you need to see your dog on the new side of your body before they're jumping. So there's your dog back there. I commit them to the jump. I'm switching, and they haven't jumped yet. Wow. How's that work? Yeah. You need to do that because they need to have the blind cross done, and we need to be moving in the new direction before they jump, so they know how to prepare for the turn. If they're about to jump and I look like this, they're gonna land on Shoshana over there somewhere, right? I gotta have it done and show them, and we go this way, and they say, oh, well then it would make a lot of sense for me to collect right here. That's what happens. So, that's detail number 2, is you want to see them on the new side before they're jumping. Number 3 is footwork. You have 2 key steps for this move. 1 is a commitment step. That's normal, like any handling system I think talks about. You step with dog side leg closest, the leg closest to the dog. That commits the dog to the jump. Okay, we're real close to the swing, so we don't have to take a big step, but that step is important. The second step is a split step in the direction the course goes next. So in this case, where does my course go?
Behind you.
Straight back there, right? So I do a big split step back in this direction. So those 2 steps are important. So I commit and I switch, and my dog now is jumping. Okay, that's the goal. And then finally, I pair 2 verbals with those 2 steps. So with the commitment step, I pair a commitment verbal. This is a verbal you've taught. So in this case, it's a wrap, right? It's a tight turn. So if you taught tight turn verbals, it would be appropriate to say that. If you haven't taught that and you say jump or over or hop, then you would say that. And if you're not used to saying anything, just pick one of those jump words that you're going to say. When you switch, you use a verbal that tells your dog, pay attention, handling is happening. For me, it's my dog's name. For some of my students, they've chosen to use a specific verbal for blinds, like they might say blind or whatever it is they want to say, that's specific only to blind crosses. That really is up to you. So if you listen to me, like when I would be running grit on course, you'd hear me saying jump grit a lot. Is kind of the series. So it's a commitment word. It's what they need to do with this thing, immediately followed by pay attention to me. So you could say jump blind, you could say jump grit, you could say my swing is my tight turn verbal to the left, so swing grit, those kinds of examples. So those are the 4 key components of this exercise. Okay? Now, some details. The ideal location for you for a blind cross is arm's length from the wing. The more of a turn you're trying to do, the more important it is that you get as close as possible as you can here. You're going to set it, you're going to come out here and you're going to set up, and you are not going to want to be that close. It happens all the time. It's like it repels the people away. They don't want to be really close to the wing, but you want to be really, really close. You can set your dog up when you're starting to learn back a little ways. I wouldn't go too far because we do want to make sure we get the commitment, but if you want to give yourself a bit of time while you're learning, that's fine. There are a lot of stays involved with this training. So if you embrace stay training or your dog is fine with stays, then that's great for you. If your dog finds stays to be a downer or you find stays to be a downer, I have a couple of tips. One, if you're training with a friend, I frequently find it's helpful just to have them let them nibble on something. You don't really want to do a restrained, ready, because you need all the time you can get when you're learning this for yourself. So I tend to do a low-key something just to occupy the dog. If I'm training by myself and I really don't want to have to do stays, I will toss a cookie kind of where I want the dog to go, let them eat it while I get into my position. When they're done eating it, then off we go. So I have a couple of workarounds if needed. I do all of this training at half height. It is a fair bit of repetition for the dog. And we're training ourselves. Honestly, we're not really training them. It's us, which is most of agility handling, but particularly true here. So like all grits training was at 12 inches. The progression is that I lead out first all the way up here so that I don't have a whole lot to do except my little, at that point it's just like a little punch step down and split step out. When this gets easy, then I go to lead out halfway so that I have to move into it a little bit and get it done before they jump. After that, I add an obstacle before. Okay? Self-assessment. Video is great. I'm going to tell you right now, you'll do repetitions where you're like, wait a minute, did I turn the right way? What happened? I'm not sure what happened on that one. So it's really nice to be able to review the video. The other thing that's really helpful is to make yourself see a snapshot and ask. I will be asking you today, where was your dog after you switched? Where did you see them on the new side of your body? So when I do jump grit, where is she right now? Is she over there somewhere? Am I seeing her tail in the air? Am I seeing, oh no, I saw the little front paws lifting up off the ground. Where was she? Because that's your feedback for how your timing was. Because where should they be?
Take off, sorry.
Over here somewhere. So I will be probably asking some of you that today. Where was your dog? And your first answer might be, I have no idea. It was a blur, right? But with time, you will begin begin to see. And guess what? You'll actually be trained. There's a couple of side benefits that happen from just this exercise. You develop your eye. You become able to see more and more and more. And the more you can see, the better your handling will be everywhere. You also highly improve the dog's commitment to jumps in general. So it's a wonderful exercise for young dogs. So I really encourage everyone to do this, even if you don't think you're going to ever do a blind cross on a tight turn. It's very, very good for teaching jump commitment as well as your eye. Okay? I think that's everything. Questions? Yes.
So my first question would be for the verbal.
Yes.
So you told us where our feet should be
Yes.
before we see them, but when should the verbal be? Like, where's the timing on the verbals?
Yes. In the air or landing from the previous obstacle.
Okay.
So kind of normal timing that we talk about everywhere, and we'll see that a little bit more when we get to the sequences, because that'll be part of the discussions. Is okay. What are we doing? When are we doing? What is happening? And we'll go through all that. But that's a really good question, and it's as soon as a little nose is popping out of this tunnel, or as soon as they're coming over this previous jump, it is your time is up. And that's why I talk about as close as possible to the wing, because we don't always make it all the way. But my goal with blind crosses is never, let me see how far away from these obstacles I can do a blind cross. I'm always striving to get as close as I can, because it helps me mimic the dog's exact path as much as I'm physically able. So it's always my goal. Good question. More questions?
I have a question about
Yes.
the blind specific bottle. How to choose it?
Yes?
I mean, like, how do I wonder how everybody chooses it. It's like some people have here command kind of like come here. Is this the same, or pay attention? Just like I mean, like the name would be like sometimes you use it for tunnel stop, or
Yeah, it
like
would just
what-
be something that you say for like,
Well,
maybe
like something-
pay attention.
like hey, could be something like that.
Could be,
Yeah.
it could be, it's not like sometimes we have a bypass verbal that means don't take anything. We don't want to use that. And we don't want to use a verbal that's specific like to another obstacle.
Or it shouldn't be like come toward me. It shouldn't be something like that. It's open. It's just more pay attention.
Yes, yes. I use dog's name in serpentines, for example. I also use a dog name. I use the dog name when they're going inside a tunnel if I want them to sort of pay attention when they're coming out. I use the dog name for all those examples. So you can use, if you're doing that, either with a name or another cue, you could use that cue, or you can choose a specific cue that is only telling your dog, guess what? I'm doing a blind cross.
Well, is it like all blind cross, or is it just for blind cross?
All.
All of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? All right. Okay, so that's the talk. Now we get to pair up.